Greetings, everyone. Rev.Hawksblood here. All right. Today, I don't know where Tina is. I didn't get anything from her. I hope she's okay. She might drop in if she realizes the show is on right now, if she can. But otherwise, I'm thinking about her. Send prayers out to her if she's not okay. But we shall see if she comes on in a little bit. So I'm starting the show. All right. This is going to be hardcore like it usually is. Truth only is my motto. No lies, no stories, no fairy tales like lots of people like to tell. All right, I'm going to start off really different. Now, you're going to have to follow me because I do go around in circles. All right. And by that, I mean, it seems like I'm going way up far from the subject, but they all come around sooner or later. All right. History. Let's start with the word history. History is the biggest case of stories of lies. They have no real history. Drips and drabs of different times and places and things. But the actual truth was written down by man, and man twists everything it writes down. Just about everything, almost in every time frame or race. Considering in the old days, they didn't write, they just drew pictures. And it's hard to lie, but they couldn't draw then. How come? I mean, you don't think there was always a good artist somewhere in some time? I mean, artists come out of the woodwork, they just can draw. And nobody could draw ever in those days. Well, go back to let's start in the beginning of religion, which is Hinduism. They had a lot of good artwork then, and they were working with deities at the time. But now, over the years after that, they started working with aliens and people. All the Mayans, Aztecs, Egyptians, all those time frames are not beneficial to the human race. They're not important to the human race. They can't offer us anything to help us move forward spiritually in a good way. All right. Now, I'm going to say, I'm not going to go into my history of all the things I did, where I came from, what I did. All right. My books are out there. I did so many shows on that. I don't need to go over it and over it. If you don't know me, I'm as real as it gets. I'm probably the most hardcore person you're going to see in the UFO world. Because most people in the UFO world like to tell stories, like to exaggerate stories, create stories, put zero truth out there. By that, there's very little proof on this planet today about proof of real aliens alive and well or living here or any of that. Just because the proof's not here doesn't mean they're not here. And that's a different story. I'll get into that as we go through today. But my main title, people, Ancient Aliens. If you watch it, it's been on for years already, years and years. All those people involved are out in the UFO world lecturing, making tons of money. People, you go to a conference and one of those speakers is there. They're getting paid $15,000, $20,000 to speak to you for about 2 hours. Oh, they might throw in dinner on Friday night so you can have dinner with them. All right? All their stuff's paid for. They're making tons of money to tell you stories that they read, they heard. But how many of the real speakers out there making that kind of money have any real truth to prove what they're saying? All right. Is it beneficial? Any of it? How many times you want to see how the pyramid was built, why it was built, what they're doing, what they're for? It didn't help them. Didn't help any race that was there living during it. All right. And now the UFO world's really switching, changing the direction it's going to more lies, considering there was a lot of lies in the beginning, but it's becoming more and more lies. All right. Speakers in the Ancient Aliens show. I don't do one personally. Tina did. Tina does. All right. She's friends with them. I'm not. I do not associate with liars or storytellers. Repeating somebody's story is a storyteller to me. If it wasn't your experience, it's not your experience, so it's not your story to tell. You can repeat it if you have to, but to get paid to repeat somebody else's story is ridiculous in my world. All right. People, you know, I'm probably the most hardcore person you're going to hear on the internet in the UFO world. And there's reasons why. I've been involved with it all my life. Not that I wanted to be, not that I made money off of it. I didn't, and I don't. I lectured from 96 to 2002 with Sergeant 18 around the United States. When I was young, I was working with UFO abductees, not experiences, which is a ridiculous word, abductees, people that have really been abducted. And there's a big difference. People that are abducted usually don't come out, oh, I went to a planet and they showed us their gardens, their houses, and we ate dinner and none of that stuff, all right? Which is a program, people. Aliens have never did anything beneficial for the human race since the beginning of time, since they were working with humans. They destroyed Atlantis, which was the only time humans were actually in the golden age. And we have never moved back into that space again, people. And we probably will not. And there's many reasons, and it's because of man's ego. All right. I'm putting a book out. It's not pertaining to UFOs. I never put a book out on UFOs. I did a ebook, not an ebook, a file that you can download. I'll send it to you if anybody wants to know how to see a UFO. It's about 200 pages. It's about every aspect of watching a UFO, trying to see a UFO, and how to see a UFO. But outside of that, my books are on spiritualism. Tina's not here right now. I hope she's okay, like I said, but she's not a very spiritual person in some ways because she says God never helped her, Jesus never helped her, the government never helped her. She's a victim of something that people should have not be a victim of. The government doesn't care, doesn't help her in any way. I mean, she's very sickly now. She's radioactive. And it seems like nobody cares. Nobody's admitting anything about it, even replying to anybody that I sent to, which is pretty bizarre. Now, all right, here's the thing, people. In the next, I'd say 2 to 8 years, we're going to see the biggest change that ever happened to the planet, and not in a good way, not spiritual enlightenment and six-dimensional beings walking around planet Earth and all that stuff. No, that's not going to happen. All these delusional people telling you it is and telling you are and all that, prove it. What can you do now that you're a six-dimensional being? Prove it. Only one person's bragging about, well, no, there's a few. One person, Caroline Corey, claims she can change DNA and she can well, I'm not even going to get into the levitation bit because that's, if you can levitate a piece of paper, you can levitate a car. But on the other hand, changing DNA is a rather new word in our history. Second of all, the United States, Russia, China, Japan, all these countries only can detect certain strands of DNA. There's many more than 12. There's many more than 32. But they can actually tell you what race you came from. I'm talking about races outside of this reality. The genes of your body that you walked into or moved into. You're not the body. You are not this body. You're using it. It's as useful as a car is. It gets you around. Doesn't make you more or less spiritual, no matter where it goes or what it does. People seem to think inventing something, doing something, saves reality, changes the world. The world has not gotten any better since 200 or even 100,000 years ago. Oh, there were humans here on and off, different kinds of humans for a word. And they're not here now. Why is that? But now they're using lots of words like walk-ins and all that kind of stuff. Okay, being reincarnating from an alien to now, which is real. People that were aliens are reincarnating into human bodies. But they're very unaware beings because they're coming in from a different generation, different time frame. All right. Aliens are a lot older than we are as a race. But they weren't playing on planet Earth a long time ago. They decided to come here for reasons which every person in UFO world seemed to neglect, not understand, or even have a clue what it is. Well, you're going to hear this over and over in the UFO world. Well, and especially on ancient aliens. Well, ancient aliens believe this, or they believe that. Oh, they're all programmed to believe certain things, but not the truth. Who cares about the pyramids? It didn't help them, and it's not going to help us. Their religion, their beliefs were horrible, people. Sacrifice and arenas of slaughter and killing all through history. You think that was spiritual in any way? You think any race that came here was teaching us anything spiritual? Hinduism, the first religion on the planet, was teaching about sexual experience and growth and all those kind of words through Kundalini energy. Really? All right. You don't become spiritual because you practice sexual energy. It's what stimulates the mind. And when the mind gets stimulated, its ego believes it's important. All right. Now, the other thing that works with ego is money. And with money comes power. Those three things destroy our reality. Since the rich people control this world, people, whether you realize it or not, the Constitution was written by rich people, not poor people. It wasn't written for poor people. The Native people were completely excluded. I mean, somewhere down the road, Black people got pulled into it, but Native people didn't. All right, I can go into that whole aspect, but not here, not now. I want to get back more about ancient aliens. All right, I watched it for years and years and years and never saw anything important ever. Even this Skinwalker Ranch has a lot more information, even though they're very vague and very limited to what they release. I've joined the site. I've been begging any one of them to talk to me. They're all afraid to. Everybody in the UFO world is afraid to talk to me. I wonder why. If I was a clone or whatever, a troll, you just block me. But they're even afraid to do that because I'll change my name, get a new site, and come back on. But I usually don't waste my time. If they're that, whatever word you want to use, I don't go forward. Michael Sala, who was in Hawaii, I met him twice or three times and talked to him and got on his site and started harassing him for a word. He talks about the U.S. government, always talking about how our secret programs are bad, our weapons are bad. He never said anything good, ever. And I said to him over and over, why don't you talk about Australia, where he's from? They have the biggest army base on the planet there. It's part U.S. and part Britain. All right. And it's a very serious place, which nobody knows about, even people in Australia. So he moved from Hawaii. He moved to the mainland. But again, he's still talking about our government programs and stuff. Talk about what's really important for us. What the government does is for the protection of the rich people. Do you understand that? Do you understand anything about the underground army bases, the underground cities? Know how real they are? No, you don't. The president doesn't talk about it. Vice president doesn't talk about it. Congress doesn't talk about it. Nobody in politics can talk about it. All right. Do they talk about chemtrails? Nobody can either. Do they talk about aliens? No, they can't either. Sure, you got a few whistleblowers coming out now. How old are they? Why do they wait until they're 65 or get old enough where they're afraid that they're not going to live much longer? They want to put the truth out there before they die. But even then, they don't live long. Our astronaut that came out, he's no longer around either. That started talking about aliens. So the truth's there, hidden, and nobody wants to talk about it because there's reasons. Personally, I have 16 friends. In the past 25 years were taken out, disappeared. One of the whole family, best friend of mine, not best friend, but I knew him since I was a little child, and we grew up together, and we always talked about UFOs. We made believe we were flying ships and stuff when we were really little. His whole family disappeared. I took him over to our house, my friend's house, and we showed him UFO pictures, and he was gone the next day. He already said to us, well, I'm not supposed to look at UFO stuff because he works for FEMA. He worked for the government. He worked for NASA. He designed parts for the space probes and everything they built. But people, if you're telling the truth in the UFO world, there's a couple things that happen. If it's too much truth, they take you out right away. If you're spreading a lot of lies, they leave you there. Because this way the people will never get to see the truth. Ever. Disclosure will never happen, especially the way people want it to. Well, let's expose that aliens are here and they're here to help us. They are not. There's not one shred of proof anywhere in history, aliens really helped us. The native people say they work with the star beings. The star beings are grays. The grays never did anything beneficial for the human race ever either. Bigfoot never did anything good for the human race either, to say you work with them. So what? My one friend was working with them for 40 years, and I ended up having a big battle with him. He came on my show, and I said, the last half hour, I'm going to debate you. And when I went to debate him, well, you debate me. I said, what proof do you have? Well, I have 200 people. I have over 1,000 people that were abducted and lost their children. And I still won't prove it. I won't try to prove it to the world. People don't want that truth. They want to know aliens are good and they're going to help us. They got nothing else to think about and nothing else to hope for. Ancient Aliens is brainwashing people over the years. You see it every week. Oh, it's new. It's new. Last night, 2 hours, new one, about abductions or disappearing people on the planet. I wonder why. They usually don't brag about things like that. They don't talk about abduction. Very seldom do they get into that in detail. Because they like the word experiences. Well, this experience is saying this, and this experience is saying that. But abductees, like Tina, is not here. I hope she's all right, but she's not here. And could mean she's in the hospital. She's been going back and forth in and out of the hospital. She's radioactive, people. Why? Because she was on a ship too many times. If you're on a ship, you do get exposed to radiation. Whether you want to accept that or not, there's proof that you have been on a ship, which people don't check. I mean, like a person that gets sexually abused with the word rape. You go to the hospital, you get a test, and you prove it. Well, if you get off a ship, you can actually prove things that happened. But people don't want to believe that, so they don't create a way to prove it. You don't want to prove something you don't want to believe in. Science likes to prove stuff that's useless. They don't prove drugs are beneficial because they're not. They don't prove food's beneficial because they're contaminated. They don't prove air is good for you because it's contaminated. They want to prove anything good and important. Oh, drink coffee today. It's good for you. Oh, well, you better drink wine today. Oh, no, you better drink coffee tomorrow. They go up and down with whatever they put out there. And then if you watch any commercial for any drug, and so this heals cancer, but it kills your liver, it kills your heart, it kills your brain, they can go on with 20 different things about the dangers of something. You come out and say, oh, pine needle tea can save you against a lot of things. Oh, you can't legally say that and come out and produce it. You go to jail and they can't release a natural thing and say it's beneficial in the medical world. Nobody would make money on it. Everything that's being done is based on money, people. Not about spiritualism, not about truth. It's about money. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I mean, I had a good friend, Sean David Morton. He's still alive. He's hanging in there. He's dying, though. But he used to go do conferences at Global Whole Life Expo, New Life Expo, and things like that. He would tell people when to invest in gold and things as well. Well, something happened. They put him in jail for a couple of years. They got 150 charges against him, which were fake. Not one witness, not one shred of proof. And he was a sovereign citizen. As a sovereign citizen, people, just so you know, if you go to court, you can't testify for yourself even. Because you're not a citizen. You're a sovereign citizen, meaning you refuse all connection to the sovereignty of the country, meaning making you a natural citizen. So it's a game as well, but it's real. So he couldn't defend himself, so they put him in jail for a couple of years, but they did everything to try to take him out, but he's dying. They had to let him out. People, I'll tell you this. Gold is going to go up and down. Now that China is buying all the gold on the planet they can, Mr. Putin will not sell oil unless he gets gold for it. Everybody's going to start trying to hoard gold. If you have gold, hide it. Because, years ago, in the 70s, late 70s, it was illegal to have gold. Do you know that? Check out which president was president, how long it lasted, and when it was reinstated that you could have it. But why I bring that up? Because they can take it away from you again. They can do anything they want if you let Congress stay in power, which they are. and let a puppet Mr. President, whoever they are, pretend that they're controlling everything that goes down. I'm not going to say it, but 400 people, tribes or classifications of people, were classified as terrorists, including Greenpeace. You should ask yourself why. When Greenpeace was fighting the whaleboats and stuff, guess who gets arrested? The Greenpeace people, not the boats that are coming in from other countries in illegal water or anything like that. Why is it defending everybody else except the people of the United States? Now, I'll get back to ancient aliens, but Russia just sent a nuclear supersonic rocket around the planet. All right. Wonder why. All right. If you think we're going to go to nuclear war, you got a problem. Nuclear weapons are really outdated because all they do is destroy the planet. All right. So they've been bombarding Biden. What are you going to do about it? Well, the truth is we have a weapon. It's basically what's on your phone right now called 5G. But if you notice, people, over the past month or two, I wasn't on top of it that much. I don't know what day it changed. 5G is instated everywhere, meaning I get a 5G signal all the time now. I used to get it for 5 minutes and never again during the day or the week, but it's on there all the time. So they boost the frequency up. All right, for reasons. But the weapon that's based on that is called 5G Arrow. Now they're going to be pushing 6G out very soon. Thinking you're aware of what the government's doing is baloney. These people in the UFO world that talk about the government programs, they're all old programs. All the programs they talk about are ancient, and they don't know the truth about half of them. Because they find a document that could have been created by anybody saying something about it, doesn't prove that it was a real program. It doesn't prove what the program was really about. I might be bringing on Laura Eisenhower probably in a week or two. I don't know if I can get her on before Christmas or not. I mean, her great-grandfather was, guess what? Eisenhower. So how much does she really know about it? And how much she can talk about, it's a different story. I had her on my show once before. But people, I don't like to bring people on my show that I really don't know much about or the truth about them. And that's why, I don't have a lot of followers because, I want to hear this person. I don't bring liars on. I don't bring storytellers on. Tina's the most real abductee that you're going to ever find on this planet right now. All right? So when I talk about people and I say names, it's because I know by my own actual experiences, they're lying. Could I go to court? Can they go to court and say, well, all the good aliens took them up in space? No, they can't prove that. All right. So it's really like trying to prove God exists right now. Aliens are real. Bigfoot's real. All that stuff's real. But trying to prove it to a programmed government, programmed people is so hard. Religion's so much dogma because it's a programmed idea from men. Jesus didn't create a religion. Buddha was trying to give a teaching out, which was against God. I'm not against God, but it didn't include God. All the great so-called spiritual masters never used the word love. Now that's all we hear. Love, 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 love. No, it's not about love. It was never love. The Ten Commandments doesn't have the word love in it at all. Moses created 613 laws. Love does not exist in his teachings either. It was created when Jesus came here. I go into the whole story, but you don't want to hear it. You don't want the truth. Jesus showed love by being in love with Mary Magdalene, having a child. That's how he showed love to his disciples. Love didn't exist. Women were never accepted as anything really, really, really important. Look through the Bible. Look through history. How many women were famous? I'm not talking about queens. I'm talking about like Joan of Arc. All right. One of the few women that was killed by the time she was, 20? imagine if they had that power today, anybody that was rising to that kind of power would be taken out. Well, in the UFO world, it's very much the same. Phil Snyder, one of the second most important UFO story, you don't hear people talking about that all the time, which they should be. It's one of the most important stories about the UFO, not Roswell. Roswell, nothing important happened. And there was 3 ships shot down, not one. I'm not going to go into that. But the truth is, it wasn't just one ship. It wasn't just Roswell, the one ship that was shot down. People, you can listen to the stories, pulled into it. The more you hear a story, the more you accept it. Zecharia Sitchin did his great power of brainwashing 80% of the UFO world to believe in the Anunnaki was an important race. They were not. They're not here now, and they were never really important. No race was, because none of them are here. All right? Their teachings were all wrong. The Egyptians had no truth about reincarnation. They believed in reincarnation, but they had no clue what to do before and after, or how it happens, or what happens after. All right? The Mayans had no truth. The Aztecs had no truth about that. And it's not about just spirits and little gods and deities and all those other words. They didn't teach man simple things like the truth of why we're here. How many people can you talk to, listen to, can tell you why you're really here? Well, everybody has their own mission. No, that's baloney. Everybody wants to believe they're important, believe that they have an important mission. No, sorry, people. God created the world. God created everything. It doesn't need you to create anything important. Oh, well, I created a water purifier. So, who contaminated the water? We are only working with what we create. We only create diseases. We don't cure them, really. For every 2 that we're supposedly cure or take care of, we create 3 more. Now, I'm not going to get into the viruses and all that because I almost lost the show already on YouTube. But the truth's coming out every which way. All right? And I can only say my partner got the jab and she died 3 times a week later, had a pacemaker put in. She's lucky to be alive right now. And Mr. Kennedy came to Hawaii saying how the dangers are if you get certain things and certain things happen. Find his book. It's out there. The truth's out there, whether you want it or not. If you don't want the truth, you really don't need to listen to my show. Go to a UFO convention, spend a couple $1,000s, and go home with, oh, the good aliens are going to take us to Mars. They're going to take us to Venus. We're going to go through the universe. We have plenty of worlds we're going to live in. And what? Are you going to be better there? You can't be better here. We can't live like good people here. Why would an alien race want to take us to their planet or to their worlds? For what reason? How many spiritual people you think are on this planet right now? Not people that say they are, people that really are. How many people can you talk to that know anything about a real God? I don't know any. I challenge the planet. I challenge every speaker in this world about that. I also challenge him about Jesus. Jesus never said he was God, never wanted to be God, never tried to prove he was God. He didn't teach he was God. He taught about God, God itself, how to get there, how to get in touch and become closer to it. That's what his teachings were about, not about saving your sorry ass and forgiving you for every stupid thing you do. No, that's called karma. Buddha was right about the word karma. Karma, cause and effect. What you do, you have to pay it back sooner or later, in this lifetime or the next. Plain and simple. Kill somebody, you can't say, oh, forgive me, Jesus, forgive me, anybody. You got karma, you're going to probably reincarnate 2 or 3 times. The next time you reincarnate, you forget everything you think you know. Most souls come back to this reality when they reincarnate with no awareness of any of the lifetimes they had before it. So that means you could spend 100, 200 lifetimes here, die in this body, come back, and start all over. And what do you learn? Man's twisted, programmed ideas. Nothing to do with a real God. And now thinking that you are God, really? Anybody that listens to this show or hears my words, you're part of God, you're one with God, Can you do one thing to prove it? One thing. You can't do anything. Well, psychic and this and that, they can do energy work. And that's only in the physical reality. There's many realms beyond this realm, which is much more important to be in. And Jesus taught about that. It's maybe 2 sentences in the whole Bible, because man didn't want that publicized or even understood what it was about. Jesus' disciples didn't have a clue what he was teaching. When he died, killed, all right, they were ready to leave everything he taught them. Mary Magdalene had to prove to them and teach them what they didn't learn from Jesus. So guess what? She had all the abilities Jesus had, and she wasn't called God. She wasn't called anything except every kind of bad word you could imagine. Men are evil, have always been, people. Sorry to tell you that. Women, I'm writing a book. It's for your protection against men. I don't know the exact title yet, but men are evil. 99.9% of men all think the same, all have the same inner thoughts, and act the same. Men rather be around men than women. Why? Why would a man want to be around a man than a woman? Why would a guy want to be super rich, play football, and hang out with men for 4 months when they could be home with their wife loving them? It's sick, perverted, twisted. Men thinking their ego is important, hanging around other men that think their ego is important. Really? People, your morals are gone. You don't know what morals mean. Thinking aliens have anything beneficial to teach you is really sad. Where do you think you're going, people? This is hell. So you're not going to go anywhere worse than here. You'll come back here over and over again until you learn something that's not part of this reality, meaning how to get out of here. Jesus taught about leaving this planet, not about staying on planet Earth. Musk, Gates, and Bezos and all spend millions of dollars to find a cure to live forever. Oh, wow. You know why? They're afraid to leave this planet. Most of their spiritual guides is Satan. They won't admit. Nobody admits Satan is real, but they all follow it. When you get money, when you get fame, that comes from Satan. We're human. We're all the same. Nobody should get $10 million to play football while another person's working their butt off 24 hours and get paid $5. I mean, it's a pathetic situation we're in. And if you think aliens are coming here to help us, like all these ancient alien people, or they were better and they're going to teach us, and they didn't teach us anything spiritual. The only thing they did for us, people, and I say this a lot, what they gave to Tesla. Oh, not the Tesla car. The 50 deadliest weapons on the planet, which the United States has, and Russia and China are trying to absorb them and create them as well. People, we're way ahead of every other country. Just because we don't brag about it like China does, or Russia tries to brag how important they are. You see us shooting rockets? Well, we do it. Most everything's done in science. I'm in Hawaii. They test bombs up on the mountain here. But did they brag about it? No. You can go to, and it shows everything that they have to actually write down in this manual that comes out every couple months of what was created or done on this island. So you could pull up tests. I mean, they don't describe exactly what's going on in the test, but they had to say, we tested blah, blah, on such and such a date. I was going across our island. I'm on the big island, going across it, right near the army base, and I saw bombs exploding up on the mountain. My partner filmed 3 triangle ships over the base as well. I never put them up. I don't put anything up. I shot a lot of UFOs and stuff recently. When I was with Sergeant 18 for years, we put every picture of every kind of ship up online, and everywhere we did, with the lectures we did, nobody cared. I mean, to the way everybody goes, oh, they got a tic-tac, a dot, moving around in circles, whatever, big deal. We filmed actual ships, not tic-tacs. I could go on. Whether I'm lucky or unlucky, I have experienced over thousands of ships. I was close to aliens twice and things like that, for real. I was next to a ship, you name it. I was next to a Bigfoot. All right. So all this stuff's real, but how much is it helping people? Let me just check on Skype because I don't know if Tina even got back to me there. She didn't get back to me. It could be a bad thing. And it probably means she's probably in the hospital. Uh, People, I know you all care about her. I do as much. Hope I get a message from her sooner or later that why, where, what's going on. But she's going through all the symptoms of radiation poisoning, people. Seriously. When I told her to buy a Geiger counter, I didn't make that up for a joke. We use it every show we do. Not because it's a joke, not because it's fake, not because we're trying to brainwash people. No, we're showing you the truth. I was exposed to so much radiation in my life, and I'm okay with it. I mean, I had x-rays and x-rays and x-rays and x-rays and x-rays and x-rays and x-rays. But she was on a ship, all right, many times. So she was exposed to a lot more radiation. You don't hear that with many other people. I'm going to tell you a short story that was real. I was living in Long Island, where the most important UFO crash ever happened and was blocked out. All right. John Ford's in the nut house right now, who filmed it. But I was staying with a friend, and she was asked to babysit a house. This person, I can't say the name, was in charge of building all the houses on Long Island, on the end, the millionaire houses. And they were going to Australia or Africa or a whole bunch of places for about 2 or 3 months. So we got to stay in his house. Swimming pool on a roof, jacuzzi in every floor. There was 3 floors to the house. Incredible. But there was something weird going on there about creatures, skeletons underneath and on the bottom of his house. All different skeletons, which I found. But I was talking about aliens and stuff. He came back, and I got to talk to him because I didn't see him the whole time that he was out. But when he came back, I got to see him when he came home. And he goes, let me show you some articles from the paper. Years ago, at that time, he said, my girlfriend and I were sitting from the glass window, which overlooked the ocean. Beautiful view. He says, well, a ship crashed right into the ocean right there. And we both turned beet red. He said, we were both naked. We were on the floor. And they didn't know what to do. They called the hospital up. The hospital told them, and this is real, take 2 or 3, well, I think it was 3, I'm not sure, a bunch of aspirins and go to sleep. Why would a hospital tell anyone to take aspirins and go to sleep if their whole body turned red? Don't you think something would be wrong? Well, that's what they were told. They did. They said the next day they were fine. So the hospital had to be already warned about situations and what to tell them. But he showed me the articles of the ship going into the ocean that many people saw. But people, what do they do with that information in their body? Well, the closer you get to an alien, the more your reality changes. The closer you get to a ship, the more your reality changes. Oh, it's not a drone. It's not a Russian ship. It's not a Chinese ship. If they were flying over the White House, if they were flying over us every day, there would be a war going on right now. You understand that, people? There's invasion of airspace. Russia will shoot any plane down that doesn't belong in its airspace. And you know it did. People, are you ready for truth? Are you looking for truth? Or do you want to listen to these people in the UFO world going on about pyramids and how the aliens did this, that, and the other? They didn't do anything good. Oh, the Zachariah Sitchin story about the Anunnaki made us slaves to mine gold. They can create gold, people. We can create gold right now, except our process costs more to make it than it's worth when it's made. All right? But alien races were doing it a long time ago. They didn't need little slaves digging in the ground, getting hoards of gold. If you read history, every king, every civilization rulers had tons of gold. They just have to go there and take it if they wanted gold that bad, anytime they wanted. But it didn't happen, did it? People believe somebody, especially people like Zachariah Sitchin that has no clue of anything. his translation of words, all right, of a race and how they acted, how they lived, what they believed in, the truth behind it. And I'm going to say this straight out. If you don't believe in God, I feel sorry for you. Period. Because you're not going to leave this lower reality, not for lifetimes. If you believe you're one with God, you'll be delusional for this lifetime, and you'll start all over in the next lifetime. Nobody's God. Nobody's even close to God. If God was like any person on this planet in any way, we'd be in serious trouble. Men, 90% of their thinking is about sex. What if God was thinking about sex? You know, soul, when it leaves the astral plane into the next realm and the realms after that, you're not male or female anymore. Soul isn't male agenda or female agenda, genitalia. They leave the soul body. Soul's a vibration and a light, not this body, which we believe to be so important. People, I've been doing this show with Tina for 2 years, and she's been pretty sick, more so lately than ever. And I really hope I get to hear from her. I mean, my birthday was a couple of days ago. I turned 70. All right, I never wanted to be 70, but I had 5 death experiences, and on the last one, I did have the choice to stay. And I said, no, I want to finish my book, which is the True Teachings of Jesus from God Realization, and finish teaching whatever I can to whatever people are willing to listen to the truth. To the truth, not stories. I don't base it on the Bible. I don't base it on what people said Jesus said. I don't base it on what Buddha said. Buddha didn't talk to God, didn't work with God. So what would it say about God? Nothing. Any of these psychic spiritualists or claim to be spiritual beings or dimensional beings, whatever they say they are, can they tell you anything important about life and death? That's much more important than life, because you only got 125 years right now. Even if they increase it, so what? When you're 125, guess what you're doing? Very little. Unless you think you're going to be Superman when you're 125, flying around and all that, you'll be a sixth. By then, there might be 12th dimensional beings calling ourselves that, with little proof of anything. Sure, we have psychic abilities, very limited, considering we should have 32 of them at 100% abilities, which we don't. I mean, when I was young, I was a high priest. I was playing in the world of psychics, abilities, and all that. I learned many of them. But the only 2 I wanted, I couldn't do or learn, or however you want to word it. I didn't study from books, people. Never did. Everything I learned was through experience, not through somebody else's writing. I mean, I read the Bible a couple of times. I was going to become a preacher. But sadly, there's not much important truth in there about Jesus, about Mary Magdalene. Mary, the mother of Jesus, was a person that gave birth to a child. She didn't do anything else. She was always in back of Mary Magdalene whenever she was there. But she wasn't teaching the disciples like Mary Magdalene was. Do you know anything about the Bible? Did you even read it? Do you understand what's being said? Nobody does. Read Revelations. If you don't believe anything I say, read Revelations 3 times. If you're a Christian, say you're a Christian, or you believe in the Bible, read Revelations 3 times. It's not that long. It's the last few pages of the Bible. Read what John wrote. Read about forgiveness. Read about what he said. What things cannot be forgiven. And he wrote that a long time ago. Say 1,000 Hail Marys and you're forgiven, or do this or that or the other thing. No, it's not possible. Jesus' disciples were all married, and people after that couldn't get married. Why is that? Why is something that's important taken away? People, when you read something, read how it really would lead you to any kind of truth. And what would the truth be? How to be a programmed person living on planet Earth. Why? Living on Earth is only kindergarten to soul. I mean, soul needs to learn how to get out of kindergarten before it can go anywhere else, which aliens are not going to teach you. They do not know it. They're scientists. They only know technology. They know nothing about death. They know nothing about God. They know nothing about Jesus either. No race, including Alnek, who claims to be a Venusian. She's one of the 7 beings that supposedly came here. She's teaching at Mount Shasta sometime, I think this month or next month. Claims she came here at 5, took on a body at 5 years old. So, people, you can say a lot of things and believe a lot of things. But funny, all these people have zero proof to do anything. Why is that? Laura Eisenhower did this work with scientists and said, oh, you can change DNA. Well, let me put something on top of that. Energy in this reality is easy to play with. Tesla proved that. But it was his teachings from an alien race. But it was playing with it in the wrong way. Mankind will soon learn that all the inventions Tesla put out there are dangerous to the planet. 5G is a weapon. It was created as a weapon. And now they were going to release 6G. And 5G is now the 5G arrow, meaning the most deadliest weapon, unstoppable. All right, people, I don't want to stick with that much longer. Let's go into Trump and Putin. And this was never brought out, ever. Why? Putin came out on public Russian TV, and I'm talking, let's see, about 4 months before Trump was elected. And this is what he said. I want Trump to tell the truth about 9/11. I want him to expose what really happened. Putin said that. He goes, I want Trump to tell the world about what we're doing with aliens. All right. Then Putin said, we have, meaning Russia, have been dealing with 27 alien races. All right. I'm sure he's wrong about the number, but here's the thing. He said 2 of the races want to destroy the planet. And guess what? They're the 2 races that are playing with the planet right now. Good people can't destroy a planet where bad people can. Doesn't that make sense? Of course. So when Putin said that, I want you to tell the world what you're doing with aliens right now on Russian TV. And do you know when he met Mr. Trump and they had this short meeting, the day after, Trump comes out with, oh, we're going to create what? A UFO army? He didn't say it that way. All right, a space program, which was in existence. It already was there. MJ-12 created it a long time ago. But that part is completely secret. Whistleblowers that talk do not know much about it. I had a friend who was part of Majestic for MJ-12 for a period of time until he died. And I was supposed to get something very important right before he died, which would probably be an incredible thing to this planet. But government's on top of everything, especially MJ-12. People disappear if they sneeze at MJ-12. So why am I still here? I have no clue. Why didn't the government take me out? Why don't they? Who knows? Maybe they said, well, they put me in with all the liars. People just believe I'm a liar. People are afraid of me. Every UFO person out there is afraid to talk to me directly. Why is that? Because I'll tell them the truth. They're assholes. They don't know what they're talking about. God's the only thing important. Not Russia, China, Japan, money, gold, silver, marriage, children, cars, houses. None of that's important. The only thing that leaves this world is you as soul. You don't take any of that. Consider it your toy playhouse for 60, 70, 80 years, 10 years, however long you live. You're not growing in any kind of way spiritually. Oh, I'm in one with the universe. Yeah. And what do you learn? Nothing. What can you do? Nothing. The world's in so much chaos, which it has never been in. Children killing, children being sold, body parts, you name all the horrible things going on. And we're spiritual? And all we got to do is fight with other countries? Name a spiritual country. A few countries like Tibet, They got their limitations on how much spiritual growth they have because they don't believe in God. Buddhists don't believe in God. Hinduism believes in deities. And then at some point they'll say that's the higher self. So, it's always relating to ego. And mind is ego, people. Mind is separate from soul. And I can give you simple techniques to work with to learn that, but not now. But you need to realize you, who and what you are, soul, is not the body. And it is not the mind. The mind is only like a computer. It only knows what it's taught. The way it learns other things is by soul trying to push things into the mind. The words like deja vu and past life experiences and all that. Soul has it, mind doesn't. If a mind never speaks to anybody or anything like that, it doesn't learn that, how to communicate with soul. As a child, children learn it, and it's stripped from them as they get 5, 6 years old. When they strip Santa Claus away, when they strip Superman away and tell them God's real. You don't think that tears apart a child's brain? Lies do not make anybody better, ever. Doesn't make them richer. Well, it might make them richer, that's for sure. But does it make them spiritual? Money doesn't lead anybody to a spiritual place. Build a church, build the biggest church on the planet, put gold everything up, gold plate everything. Is that going to make anybody spiritual? I can go into something that I only learned rather recently, and I'm glad I learned it before I died. My altar's over there. I don't think you can see it. I could probably bring my camera, but I'm not going to. I won't even get into that. It has too much spiritual truth and stuff like that, which doesn't relate to UFOs. All right. I'm going to get back to Ancient Aliens. All right. Watch it every week. What do they talk about? In how many years have they been on? I lost track, but I was going to pull it up. How many years have they actually been on? 3, 4 years? I don't know, maybe even longer. But they say the same thing every year. They'll go over the pyramids, the same thing. They'll go over this. Now, I'm going to tell you something true. A place in Mexico, they're digging. I'll try to go into a few details without getting into things I can't. But, I can't say things, well, because it's only a protection of one person, not the government, not the world, things like that. But they're digging and digging, finding artifacts. Every artifact they find is showing the history of aliens, history of their belief, history of the world, and different things they made, including pipes with alien heads on them and things like that they made thousands of years ago. And it's like somebody carved them and put them in the ground. They're finding thousands and thousands of them. A friend of mine bought many of them. Seriously. She could probably have her own museum. But that alone shows a race was here, living here. And then what happened? Greys are still trying to keep themselves alive, people. If they don't do what they're doing, they would be gone right now. Meaning cloning themselves with humans and pollinating themselves with humans, all that kind of stuff. It's all real, people. And it's not about planet Earth. It's about their world, their reality. They don't care about ours. I'm going to get into something that no UFO person likes to talk about or will. What are aliens' favorite food? What do they eat? They breathe air. They take water in. But what do they eat? Why do we travel around the world exploring other countries? Why did we? For resources, right? Gold, food, plants, things like that, right? Why do you think an alien race would be any different? Think about it. Did I got to explain everything in detail to you? Do you understand what's happening while people are listening to what people say about aliens and the good aliens is no better? I'm going to say that to me, the most horrible, evil person that I know in this world, in the UFO world, is Stephen Greer. He's one of the biggest liars, claiming he was almost killed by the government. They offered him $3 or $2 billion to walk away from the UFO world. They could take him out for $1,000 or even $500,000. He would be gone. To offer him $2 billion, it's delusional. Same as Wilcock. When he came out, when he was on TV, he said he was God. All right, listen to a lifetime of people. I'm telling you from my lifetime experiences what I can tell you as the truth. I had 5 death experiences. I learned to leave my body for about 45 years, met with deities, worked with angels, and I did go into the highest realm for seconds. And I'll tell you a secret that they can't talk about. You get to see God once for maybe about 3 seconds. The first time you get to see it, an angel or a spiritual being has to take you there. All right? Second, you only do that 3 times. The third time, you stand before it, not he, she, or whatever, it, for a few seconds. But in those seconds, you become aware of all reality. You don't become God. God realization only means you understand God's there. Self-realization means you understand that you're a soul in this body, in this world. 2 separate words don't mean anything closely related to each other. God realization doesn't make you a spiritual being either. It makes you an aware person, which I am. All right. I don't ever say I'm spiritual. When I attain spiritual reality, when I become totally spiritual, I will not be here. There's no reason to stay in hell if you're spiritually aware of everything. You don't need to be around rape, murder, killing, all those horrible words. You don't need to see it. You don't need to be part of it. As long as you live here, you're part of it. Well, I stay in my house. It's still going on around your neighborhood, your families, and everywhere else. Do you understand that? Probably not. Because you're following a religion that says, well, just say Hail Marys 10,000 times and you'll be forgiven for everything. Really? You're not walking away from what you do. You are what you are. You are where you are because that's where you belong to be. Now, Buddha talked about karma. Even John Lennon sang a song, Instant Karma is going to get you. He was right. The more you become aware of karma and try to deal with it, the more instant it becomes. You do something bad, you'll be paying for it within an hour, if even that. It's instant karma because you know it's bad, you're doing it, and you got to pay for that. When you say, well, I don't know if it's good or bad, then it's not like you know totally what's good or bad. But it's still instant karma because you'll be paying for it in a short period of time. I got to take this real fast. Hello? Sorry about that. I got an appointment for going to the doctor tomorrow. Yeah, I have problems. We all have problems. All right? Dealing with them is what we're here for, to rise above it. Not that it disappears or makes everything disappear, because it doesn't. But understanding why you are here, why you don't have to be here, and what really happens when you leave here. You don't go sit in heaven with all your friends and family, angels because they die. All right? If somebody in your family dies, they don't become an angel. They're a soul floating around in the astral plane until they reincarnate back here 99.9% of the time. Because they didn't become aware of the things they need to learn to stay there. Never mind rise above the astral plane. Jesus was the only one that really explained that, but people around him didn't understand it. So they used, when Jesus was alive, realized they were simple-minded people. He couldn't use high-tech words. They didn't understand God, G-O-D. They understood Father. When he talked about realms, he had to use things they could understand. Rooms, like rooms in God's world. All right? But they didn't know what that meant really to what it was supposed to relate to. All right? So there's many things soul has to learn here before it can leave and stay out of this realm. Aliens are not going to leave this realm to the next realm. They will reincarnate back here as a human. They got to learn feelings and emotions, which they don't even have, and understand it. Not that it becomes part of soul. Soul doesn't have a brain. It doesn't have the 5 senses of the body anymore either. So soul grows. It doesn't hang on to the things that we feel are important. And I'll remind you what they are because you probably don't know. Religion called Ekankar uses this word, the 5 passions of the mind, not soul. Lust, greed, anger, vanity, and attachment. All right, you can change that and put them in almost everything that's reality here. But attachment is the most horrible word if you're trying to leave this reality. Because if you're attached to anything, children, parents, ocean, cars, whatever it is, will keep you coming back here. They're not really important, but you as a egotistical mind believe it is. Well, my children, the children are not going to be the same children when you come back. If you get lucky enough to reincarnate back into your family, you're going to be their child. Is that what you want? They're not going to know it's you as who you were. You're not going to know who you were at that point either. So the learning that soul goes through is really complicated. But learning your past lives is much more important in reality than learning about aliens. The few things that you learned about awareness in all your lifetimes could be beneficial to you right now. All right? Learning about the next realm, the astral plane. Learning what you do there. Learning what happens there. You're not sitting at the table with your family. No, that's not going to happen. They all got karma. They got to reincarnate. How many of them are going to move on? Most of them are stuck in a religion. Religion doesn't move beyond the astral plane at all. Ekankar and Shab Yoga do teach about going beyond the astral plane. But they got a lot of dogma things in between that keep you limited to a certain level of awareness. As long as you have a master in a physical reality, you're programmed or being programmed. When you explore and do and understand things anywhere in the universe in different realms without the help of somebody's words or teachings, you become aware or start becoming aware. And that's all that matters in this lifetime right now. So getting involved with politics, getting involved with cares, and you got to pass the time away, but you got to focus on how you're bringing awareness into your life. Going to church, what are you aware of? Nothing. Going to the museum, what are you aware of? Dinosaurs, what are you aware of? What are you doing to become more aware? Do you know how to become more aware? Meditation, what the word meditation means alone has nothing to do with spiritual awareness. And just because you do something doesn't mean it's spiritual. Leaving your body doesn't make it spiritual. Astral projection's not spiritual. It starts becoming spiritual as you learn, but the other word that they love to use is remote viewing. Evil. It goes against the first spiritual law of this planet. Sorry. Aliens have been doing that for infinity. So guess what? They're not becoming aware of what is important. Eating humans is not a spiritual level, people. You may think it is, but it's not. You know, before I close the show, please send this link to everybody you know. If they listen to it, it's fine. If they don't, fine too. maybe there's people out there that want the truth somehow, or get in touch with real reality of what's going to happen when they die and things like that. I do a lot of different shows on that as well. I don't stick to aliens because it's not beneficial, really, and it's not going to be beneficial for the human race. If they came down and said, "Hi, we're going to be friends," it always gets to near the end of the show. But what can they offer this planet? Clean water, clean air. Why would they have to wait to give us that? How about they can't teach us compassion? They don't have it. If they're eating people, why do they care about people? They don't. I started my lighting so bad. I should have put different lighting on. But people, our time's running out. I'm 70, and I didn't even want to live this long. And I don't have to. I'm just doing all the important steps that I have to take care of before I can leave. But you should be concerned. When you see now, people that don't know anything about death are afraid of death. I don't want to die because you don't know what's happening, and then you get all these fools coming out. I'll say a bunch of names: Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, the Dalai Lama, the Pope. Oh, love people, compassion. That has nothing to do with soul. Soul doesn't have to love anybody. Soul doesn't have to have sex. Soul doesn't have to do anything here to become an aware being. Nothing you learn here is going to help you on the astral plane. Or be nice. You can't kill people on the astral plane, so you could be as mean as you want, and you can't kill somebody. So there's different rules every time you take a step in the spiritual realms. But it only gets better. And you're not talking about aliens, you're not talking about disease, you're not talking about sickness, you're not talking about creatures, spirits, ghosts, things like that. It's so different, and it gets better. Except if you're, getting back to those words, attachment, if you're attached to this world, if you're attached to sex, going to a place where there's no sex anymore might not be your desire. And you'll stay in hell because it's what you feel you want. That's Satan's purpose. When Jesus faced Satan for a long period of time, you don't think Satan was doing everything it could to try to program that person? But then you get people like Bob Dylan. I just wrote it to somebody. Came out and said, I sold my soul to the devil. And he did. It's easy to do. He said every song he wrote after that became gold, no matter who he gave it to. So think about it, people. Where you going? Why? What do you want to attain in this lifetime? Oh, I want to make sure my kids are okay. I got a beautiful house, beautiful boat, beautiful plane, beautiful rocket, beautiful... What do you want? What do you want to attain before you leave? I want to invent something that makes the world better. Better? Meaning you want to stay here longer? You get disease here. Soul doesn't get a disease. Only the mind does. And then the mind creates it within the body. I'm not saying you could be in a fire, a bomb blows you up and things like that, but mind has a lot of the abilities to control, create, and remove the things your body's going through. I'm not going to go into those stories, but I went through that as well. But you don't have to heal your body. You don't need to stay here. There is no reason to stay here if you become an aware person. But if you're not an aware, it's going to be a long time again before you get to the point where you are right now. All right? You're probably the highest and most spiritual or aware that you have ever been in all your lifetimes. And that's not still saying much because you're not much aware of anything. Well, people, I could go on, but, going over an hour usually makes people dreary, tired. Sometimes I do. Because, you talk and then I get pulled into the other realm and it's so much better there. And I'm sticking around in hell. It's, oh, well, this ain't hell. You're really a beautiful kitten. Yeah, runs out and gets squished. What's beautiful about that? All the dogs in Hawaii are kind of like just bodyguards. They're not taken care of. They're not walked or anything like that. They just slept there day and night to a 6-foot chain to watch over a house. People have no morals. They don't have true compassion. If the human race had compassion, do you know how advanced the human race would be right now? If we work together as a group of good, loving people, not individual, multi brainwashed, programmed, egotistical people like presidents and vice presidents and rulers and all that kind of word, imagine that. Imagine caring about people starving. Really. I forgot when a couple of years ago we were sending all this food to a country to try to help them, and the army, the terrorists were coming in and taking it, and we felt we were doing a good thing. Really, what, feeding the terrorists? We think what we do is good because we want to believe what we want to believe. We don't want to believe the truth. I'm trying to read something. I can't even read it. But like I said, I'm sorry Tina didn't get on our show today. I hope she's okay. I'll try to see what's going on with her. But I got a funny feeling she's in the hospital. She usually texts me at least saying she can't come on and things like that. But she is sickly, people. And I've been proving it every week. Even to her. I keep telling her, I said, the aliens are keeping you alive for a reason. If you watch the movie Silkwood, watch it with Cher. How radiation, what it does to the body, and how fast it kills a person. Hold on, I gotta read this. I can't see that at all. Well, no, my show's recorded. Just tap on it and watch it from the beginning. All right, it's recorded. It stays up. But and I'm not going to start over. But people, this is your last chance to really take a giant step forward if you want to. Lust, greed, anger, vanity, and attachment. I gave them new words. Sports, cheap thrills, drinking, smoking, drugs, sex, and I even throw in fake love. So all those things are what man's attached to. Sports are totally useless, people. Useless! And for them to play the national anthem at the beginning of a game, why? You're programmed to believe that it's important. Yeah, to make money for people. Not you and me. You pay, if you have 5 kids, you got to pay to bring them all to a game. Whatever you do, you got to pay for it. It's sad. Like when those 2 boxers, 2 years ago, fought, each one made $150 million for one game, one fight, to try to beat each other up. And they got paid more for every round that they actually did. So they went to full time. If you know you're going to get paid $10 million to go another round, you're going to do it. And they both knew that. So it was a boring fight, to say the least. And that they each got that kind of money. And that's just them. All the companies, the TV shows, and everything that showed it made money off of it. The places where they showed the fight and even the fight itself, all that money made for other people. Think about it. Where you put your money? Why? And the government doesn't even want you to have that. There's so many things happening right now. I don't even get into it. But people, it's not going to get better anytime soon. All right. You need to look up UN Agenda 21-30. It's real, people. I'm not making it up. For people that deal with it and explain it and tell you what's happening aren't making that up. All right. I'm going to close the show. Anybody wants to email me, I'll put my email up. If I want to come on the show, we got to talk first. If you're coming in as a guest, all right, I want to come in as a guest. And if you come on and right away you go into something that I don't agree with, you're not going to stay on my show, obviously. I can barely see right now. Hold on. All right, put that up for you as well. So people, like I said, truth only is what I do, what I say, what I but it bring out. Uh, I work with TJ Morris. I don't know if you know who she is. So we're going to have classes when she comes back. She's on a tour on a cruise ship right now, having a great time. So when she comes back, I will be doing a class, a workshop. Uh, it's not going to be easy because there's going to be things you don't want to hear, didn't know, or don't want to know, and all that kind of stuff. But if you want to move forward, I'm telling you, it's one of the few places you're going to be able to. All right, Tommy Hawksblood here, calling from the Big Island. A volcano might be stopping. They're saying it's slowing down, so it could stop. But stay safe. Be aware of what you do. Respect yourself. Respect the world. Respect God. All right. Live a good life the best you can. Peace, love, compassion. Whatever you really need, don't stop until you get it. And if you get it, make sure it's what you really want.